evening, students. Visari, good evening. Chanu, Jyoti, Shakti, Arbinda, VL, good evening. Shivam, pranam to you, Shivam. Now everyone, tell me, who is a DGP? Who all wants to get into IPS? First of all, tell me. Who all wants IPS? Not talking about postal service. I'm talking about Indian Police Service. HJ, hi, Veerpal, Jai Hind. Why not IPS? You can get fit, Shakti. They give you a grace period of time to get back in shape. Not Department General of Police, Director General of Police. Yes. So DGP is the highest ranking police official in the state. Police official in a state. Every state police is headed by a DGP. For example, in Delhi also, the head of police is called as Commissioner of Police. But that officer is also the rank of DGP. You know how many stars are there of DGP? Okay, Shakti. You know DGP is a how many starred police official? The star ranking? No, not 4 stars. 3-star rank. It is a 3-star rank. There is only one police officer in India who holds the 4-star rank. Can you name that officer? Shri Charan, good evening. Good Jyoti, good Veerpal, 3 stars. Can you tell me the only police officer in the India who holds the rank of 4 stars? Not NSA. The serving police officer, not retired police officer. He is the director of IB, Intelligence Bureau. The secretary, the head of RAW, Research and Analysis Wing, is also a very senior police officer, but that rank is designated as Secretary R. It's not Director General of IB, that post is called Director of IB or DIB as it is referred to in the circles of IPS. Director of IB is the de facto head of Indian Police Service. De facto head of IPS. He is the most senior, most ranking officer in India in terms of police. His rank is of 4-star, which is equal to General of Army, Air Chief Marshal of Air Force and Admiral of Navy. And tell me, what is the rank of Chief of Defence Staff in India? Head of RAW, who is posted in Cabinet Secretariat, is designated as Secretary R. CDS is also a 4-star officer, not a 3-star officer. Sorry, he is also a 4-star officer. But he is also the Secretary of Department of Military Affairs. And there has been 3 people in India who has gotten rank of 5 stars. Can you name them? Sam Manekshaw, Field Marshal Sam Manekshaw, Marshal of the Air Force Arjun Singh, and one, yes, General Cariappa. Only 3 people in the history of India have gotten 5-star ranking. Those were, as you have named it, Field Marshal Sam Manekshaw, Field Marshal Cariappa, and Marshal of the Air Force Arjun Singh. So now you have understood the hierarchy of police and how it equates with the army. Now it is very simple to understand. Would you make head of a police in a particular state and give him a 4-star rank as compared to these people who head an all India organization? Does it make sense? Why a DGP is a 3-star officer? Why isn't he or she a 4-star officer? Because then this parity won't be ensured. General is the head of Indian Army. Air Chief Marshal is the head of Indian Air Force. This is a pan-India organization. Similarly, IB is a pan-India organization. So the head of these institutions are given a higher ranking as compared to a head of a state police. And tell me, who is the de facto head of IAS in India? Who is the senior most IAS officer in the country? Any idea? No, DGP don't get promoted to 4-star. The only way a DGP can become a 4-star officer if he is appointed as the director of IB. In that case, no other. Not chief secretary. I told you head of IAS, not a head of state bureaucracy. Cabinet secretary. Good. The cabinet secretary is the de facto head of IAS. Director of IB is the de facto head of IPS. And why head of RAW is not a 4-star officer? Because his official designation is that of a secretary. Secretary research. Let me give you one more information, which is very essential. What do you think is the primary work of intelligence agency? Any intelligence agency, be it IB RAW in India's case, be it ISI in Pakistan's case, be it CIA in case of US, be it FSB in case of Russia. Does anyone know the name of Chinese intelligence agency? NSA is a political appointee. NSA can be anyone. You can even make a politician NSA. The first NSA of India was an IFS officer. After that, all of NSAs have been IPS officer. Tomorrow, you can even make a retired military official as NSA. A politician as NSA. That is a politically post. That is not a post that requires you to appoint a particular person. MSS, good. There was a joke in the movie, do you know the name of a Chinese intelligence agency? They said no, that's the point of intelligence agency. You don't even know their name. Well, generally, intelligence agencies have 2 primary work. First is foreign intelligence. Second one is counterintelligence. Counterintelligence means you counter the presence of foreign intelligence agents in your own country. Now, technically, in a democratic country, these 2 functions are separated. In India's case, foreign intelligence is the responsibility of research and analysis wing. And domestic counterintelligence is the responsibility of Intelligence Bureau. Similarly, in case of US, external intelligence is the responsibility of CIA. whereas counterintelligence in US is taken care of by FBI. So in a democratic country, these two functions are given to different organizations so that there is no concentration of power. Right? NIA is an investigating agency. It investigates terror-related cases. Just like CBI, just like ED, just like NIA is one of them. They have different areas of working. Shaktiraj, come to this. KGB was an intelligence organization of Soviet Russia, USSR. The present Foreign Intelligence Agency of Russia is called as FSB. Now, in a democratic country, these two functions are not given to one authority. I've given you examples. But you know, a country which calls itself democratic has given both of these functions to one organization. Do you know the name of that country and that organization who calls itself democratic, but actually it is not a democratic country? Both of these functions in Pakistan are performed by Inter-Services Intelligence. And also in Pakistan, ISI is dominated by military officials, whereas in India and in US, police officers mostly are responsible for intelligence agencies. And you know what is the main job of an intelligence officer? Can anyone tell me that? What do you think is the main work description of an intelligence officer? Anyone? Is it information gathering? No. Nope. It is one of the work, but this is not the most important work. Any country has n number of ways to get information. The main work of intelligence organization is analysis of information. To connect the dots. To predict what is going to happen. This is the main work of intelligence officers. You know, every day intelligence officers are required to send a report to their commanding officers, which requires this kind of information. So it is not the information that you can gather is the most important job. That is one of the jobs. But the most important thing is how you analyze that information, how you use that information to connect smaller information that you may have gotten, how you can analyze or predict the future. That is the main work. So people whose analysis is very good, they are the ones who do well in intelligence agencies. समझ आया? Any doubt? I've dealt with many misinformation or lack of information in this field. So if anyone fills IPS as their first preference, they might get these kind of questions so that they know if you know the basics of the services. In interview, you will be asked these kind of questions, basic questions, they'll check your knowledge. And if you get wrong in this, they'll say that, how do you want to become an IPS if you don't know the? Well, in IPS, I guess, for people belonging not from Himalayan states, you need for male 5 feet 5 inches. I'm not sure about female, I guess it is 5'2". But from non-Himalayan states, if you hail, you have to have 5 feet 5 inches in height. of a male. There is some grace for people who come from Himalayan states. And you also need to be physically fit. You can't be if you are a person with disability, you can't opt for IPS. You also need to have a very color blindness is also not considered. If you're colorblind, you're not eligible for IPS. Now coming back to our discussion. बोर तो नहीं किया ना तुम लोगों को मैंने? बस 2 आंसर्स. Now tell me, what kind of a police officer would you want to be the head of police in this state? Tell me. If you are going to appoint a DGP, what are the desired qualities you'd want in a DGP politically, not police work? Now, if you are a state, if you are a chief minister, if you're running a state government, obviously you'd want a person who is close to the party or who can adhere to unconstitutional requests made by the politicians, right? But that is not good for the police service. Right? So if a police officer is appointed as DGP who is politically close to the ruling party, politically close to the CM, that is bad for the service. Service requires what kind of a person? Service requires a person who stays apolitical. Today if X party is in power, tomorrow Y party can be in power. Day after tomorrow Z party can be in power. Do you need a politically inclined police officer? No, right? But we have seen in recent times, many state governments have appointed persons who are seen very close to the party. So you need a process to select people who are neutral, who are apolitical. Apolitical, right? To deal with this problem, Supreme Court of India passed a judgment called as Prakash Singh versus Union of India judgment. This judgment suggested many things relating to police reforms, right? One of the important recommendation of this judgment was that the state government on their own can't appoint any person as a DGP of the state. State government needs to follow certain process. First of all, at least 6 months before the present DGP is about to retire, at least 6 months before, the state government must forward name of eligible IPS officers to UPSC. Who? To UPSC. And there are certain criteria of what makes a IPS officer eligible. First of all, that officer must at least complete 30 years of service or hold the rank for the post of state police chief. So in one state, there are multiple police officers who hold the rank of director generals, who are all 3-star officers. Similarly, there are many inspector general of police also, who are 2-star officers. So all these people who have completed 30 years of service, they are eligible to become a DGP. So a list of names will be forwarded by state government to which organization? किसको forward करेगा state government? आंसर दो बच्चा लोग. UPSC. And state government also has to ensure one thing, that the person I am going to put his name in the list, that person should not be retired within 6 months. So suppose I am eligible based on these criteria, but I am about to retire in 4 months, so my name would not be put. And considering all these names, UPSC's empanelment committee would shortlist 3 officers. And in case a state is small, they would shortlist 2 officers. Based on which criteria? Based on merit and service record. And out of these 3 or 2 officers, the name which UPSC's empanelment committee shortlists, state government can appoint only those people as DGP. So at a time, there are multiple DG level officers in a state. Why? Why are there multiple DG level officers in the state? Can anyone tell me? There are multiple 3-star rank officers in a state police. UP, for instance, presently has somewhere between 15 to 20 DGs. Can anyone tell me why this problem happens? Because IPS, IES, they get promoted based on their years in service. They have a fixed schedule for promotion. But you can, at a time, you can have only one DGP. So all the officers are designated as DGs, but the person who is the head of state police is called as DGP. Understood this process now? Why this process happens? Why this process is necessary? You understand the reasoning? Students? No comments. If you don't comment, how would I know if you have understood or not? Now coming to the next topic, which is about fertilizer subsidy. Now can anyone tell me what is the fertilizer subsidy regime in India? Can anyone tell me what is the fertilizer subsidy regime in India? You know now what is subsidy? What is a subsidy? Yes. Now, fertilizer subsidy in India is differentiating between urea and all other fertilizers. In case of urea, government fixes the MRP, right? And the difference in production cost minus MRP is provided to the fertilizers company as a subsidy. Who gets the subsidy? The companies who are manufacturing the urea. Understood? So government fixes the MRP. So suppose government fixes that for a bag of fertilizer, suppose the MRP is 100 rupees. So suppose company A is making that fertilizer for 120 rupees and selling it to 100 rupees. How much subsidy company A would get from the government? 20 rupees. If company B makes this same fertilizer for 130 rupees and they are selling it at fixed MRP of 100, they are getting 30 rupees subsidy. Similarly, if company C is making this fertilizer for 150 rupees and they are selling it at 100, they are getting how much subsidy for the government? 50 rupees. Can you tell me the problem of this regime here? Can anyone identify the problem of urea-based subsidy in India? बताओ. अरे इसमें प्रॉब्लम बताओ, जनरल प्रॉब्लम नहीं बता रहा हूं, पूछ रहा हूं इसमें क्या प्रॉब्लम दिख रहा है तुमको? कोई नहीं बता रहा है. The problem here is a company C or a company B, they have no incentive to make their production efficient. They know even if we make a fertilizer for 200 rupees, I am going to get the rest amount as subsidy. Right? Technically, company A should be at advantage because they are making the subsidy at the cheapest cost. Right? But this regime actually provides you the difference. So there is no incentive for a company to make their manufacturing process economically efficient. क्यों कम करेगा वो? उसको तो मिल रहा है पैसा. Right? So to solve this problem, government came up with new urea policy in 2015, where industries who are making urea, they were divided into 3 categories based on their energy consumption. And then these 3 category of companies would get fixed subsidies. So this partially addresses this problem, that if multiple companies are in one category, they are going to get fixed subsidy, so all the companies would ensure maximum efficiency. Understood? Understood this part, urea ka subsidy? Now tell me, urea provides which kind of macronutrients? Students, nitrogen. Good, not potassium, nitrogen. And all other fertilizers, they provide nutrients like nitrogen, phosphorus and potassium in different quantities. Right? So other fertilizers, suppose DAP, diammonium phosphate, the major macronutrient it provides is phosphate. But there might be presence of other macronutrients in it in minority. Right? So to deal with all other fertilizers except urea, government came up with nutrient based subsidy. In this subsidy, government has made MRP Decontrolled. Can you tell me what is decontrolling of MRP? What is decontrolled MRP means? That companies are free to fix MRP. There is no price cap. And the subsidy amount that government pays is fixed based on nutrient. It is fixed on the basis of nutrients. So they'll say X amount per kilogram of nitrogen, Y amount per kilogram of phosphorus, Z amount per kilogram of potassium. So based on the amount of macronutrients in the subsidy, the companies would receive a fixed payout from the government. Understood? Can you tell me the problem with this particular scheme? Yes, as companies are free to fix MRP, they can increase the MRP. They can increase the MRP. And the problem of increasing MRP is that farmers would have to pay more money. And if farmers would have to pay more money, it would lead to which kind of inflation? Cost push inflation. Good. Or food inflation. Do you know the difference between core and headline inflation? Anyone can tell me, who can tell me the difference between core and headline inflation? Headline inflation is basically WPI or CPI. The inflation figures that you get is the headline inflation. But the problem with inflation is that the prices of food and fuel, they fluctuate quickly. So you have to identify, if you have to identify inflation in other commodities, you use core inflation. Core inflation is nothing but headline inflation minus inflation in food and fuel. Understood? So tell me, if prices of fertilizers increase, will it reflect on core or headline inflation? It will reflect on headline inflation. Good. Now to deal with this problem, government issued another notification saying that the companies can only put MRP which is 8 to 12% more than their cost of production. Understood? So in a way, government fixed MRP without saying that I fixed MRP. So if question comes, the MRP of fertilizers is decontrolled, you mark it correct. Understood? Why correct? Because government says so. They have imposed a cap. Ideally, if they have imposed a cap, it shouldn't be decontrolled. It is controlled. But if government is saying that it is decontrolled, UPSC is also going to follow this. Understood? This is the same with case of petrol and diesel. Whenever elections are near, don't you realize the price of petrol stays the same? It does not increase, it might decrease. Have anyone noticed this trend? जब इलेक्शन आने वाला होता है, पेट्रोल प्राइसेस स्टे द सेम. They might decrease, but they won't increase. And as soon as voting is over, the next day you'll see petrol rising. भरवाते हो कार और स्कूटी और बाइक में तेल. So technically, prices of petrol in India are decontrolled. But government unofficially, informally controls the prices by asking the companies not to increase the prices during election. How much is the cost of 1 liter petrol in your state? Tell me. Keshav, which state? So most of the states have above 100. So I'm lucky I'm living in UP. It's 96 point something, cheaper than Delhi. Understood this? Fertilizer subsidy, any doubt? You know why it is not coming under GST, prices of petrol and diesel? Why it is still outside GST? You know, whenever state government requires more money, it simply increases the taxes on petrol and diesel. So this kind of flexibility that it offers to state government, no state government would agree to give up this power. About somewhere on an average, depending upon your state, about 35 to 55% of the money that you're paying for a petrol, that goes to state and central government combined. On an average, 35 to 55%, depending upon the state in which you live. हाँ समझ गए शक्तिराज. डिविडेंड. किसी को डाउट है? न्यूट्रिएंट सब्सिडी स्कीम ऑफ fertilizers, and any fertilizer subsidy scheme is a central sector scheme. Anyone from Kerala here? Anyone from Kerala here? No one from Kerala? Now let us talk about Pampadum Shola National Park. I was going to ask whether my pronunciation of this national park is correct or not. But since no one is here from Kerala, how would they tell me Pampadum Shola National Park? Is this the current pronunciation? I'll check YouTube for that. Now what had happened? What type of vegetation is present in this national park? Any idea? Shola vegetation. Shola vegetation is prevalent in which kind of area in India? Shola National Park is in Idukki district of Kerala. Now Shola, can you tell me which kind of a vegetation is Shola? Is it a rainforest? Is it a deciduous forest? Is it a grassland? Is it a thorny forest? What is it? It is basically a type of grassland. And grassland have a very good quality. They are responsible for infiltration of water to the soil and nearby water bodies. So they act as absorber of rainfall and they gradually release water which provides soil the required moisture and nearby water bodies adequate water. But what happened is that Britishers, and after India got independent, Kerala State Forest Department, they started planting black wattle plant, which is an invasive alien species. So they said that घास sahi nahi hai. If there is a grassland, according to them, it was not right. We should plant trees in this area. But what happened when they started planting trees in this area, that the natural biodiversity of this area, which favored existence of grassland, that got disturbed. So when you plant big trees, naturally the amount of sunlight that would fall on grasses would reduce, right? Then grasses would stop growing. And then this infiltration or water cycle of this area would get affected. Understood this? Now they've realized their mistake and they've started taking out the trees, and now they're bringing more grass which suits the nature's or the region's biodiversity, and they're planting more grass, realizing their previous mistake. So good. So this is Pampadum Shola National Park. I'm still not sure if I'm pronouncing it correctly. And one more thing you have to realize, this is the smallest national park in Kerala. Yes, Britishers started with this trend, and after Britishers left, state government on Kerala doubled on it. Now, Prime Minister's Development Initiative for Northeast Region, PM-DevINE scheme, we are going to understand the scheme. So tell me the problems that Northeast India faces. Chanu? Bipin, you'll have to Google it because I did not read about which is the largest national park. I have an inclination, but I'm not sure. Can anyone Google it? The largest national park in Kerala? Are heavy rainfall, how would a development scheme address this heavy rainfall? Development related problem, tell me na, with Northeast. Read the room. Problem with Northeast is developmental. How can you bring development? How can you bring more employment? Any idea? Improving connectivity, improving infrastructure, right? If you bring or make necessary infrastructure, then only the industries would set up their factories. If you improve connectivity, then only people will come and see whether we can invest there or not. So this is the biggest problem, or why has Northeast not achieved the levels of development as compared to other parts of the country? अरे हर चीज डेमोग्राफिक चेंज नहीं होता, First, you have to provide jobs to local people, na? Then we can think of bringing more labor to work. First need is to provide development and employment to locals. So it is a central sector scheme to accelerate development of Northeast region. What is provided here? Develop infrastructure. Support social development project. Social development project means education and health. Promote livelihood generation. Fill critical development gaps. This was the intention of this scheme. Kill insurgencies, a scheme which would be taken care of Ministry of Home Affairs. हर चीज इसमें नहीं डालते हैं. One way to kill insurgency is to provide people with work. If they go to work daily, if they do work 9 to 5, would they have time to fight? They would be stressed. थक गया ऑफिस में. Boss was burning with extra work. People are playing politics with me. Would they have time to fight? No. Just give people employment. Give them money. They'll leave everything. Now exercise Purvi Prachand Prahar. This is a tri-service military exercise which took place in Arunachal. Have you realized one trend? Have you realized one trend with all military exercises? Be it domestic or be it international. Have you realized one trend with all military exercises? No, not tri-service. Yes, tri-service is a trend also. Good. That government wants to promote integration. That you require abilities of all these three arms of the Indian Armed Forces to have an effective military strategy. No, all are missing out on the trend that I am trying to convey in military exercises. Strong names, yes, but that is only for nominal purposes. नाम देख के सामने वाला थोड़ी डर जाएगा. Pan India exercises, no. Tell me the location of military exercises. Have you realized a trend with location? Where does most of the military exercises happen, if not all? In border areas or near areas of conflict. And you know why we hold or anybody holds military exercises near border areas or near areas of conflict? This is basically was suggested by Kautilya in his famous work Arthashastra. That if you do military exercises near border areas, the enemy would remain stressed. That what if they decide to enter our territory? This is exactly what China did. You know what China did? When they tried to enter in our borders near Ladakh, they, under the pretext of military exercise, they sent a large amount of troops. And then they tried to enter India. So all of them, be it Indian military or be it any other military, they are following the recommendations given by Kautilya or Chanakya in Arthashastra. That if you do military exercises near the borders, it would, your neighbor or your enemy would stay in stress. BP बढ़ाना है उसका. So suppose, you know why this military exercise must have happened in Arunachal? I am guessing. This is my guess. This is no actual information. My guess is that China may have increased the military deployment in India's western border, that with China, right? Nearby Ladakh or nearby Himachal or Uttarakhand. So to counter that, India did a military exercise in Northeast so that China would balance the deployment in Northeast also. And also, you can burn more resources of the enemy. Remember, recently India did a tri-service exercise near Jaisalmer border and Kutch region. Why? Currently, Pakistan is having tense relationship with Afghanistan. So most of their military must be focused on Afghanistan. So to burn their resources, we did military exercise on our border, so that to balance or to have adequate countermeasures, Pakistan would shift some of their military away from Afghanistan border. And then we'll ask our new friends Taliban, maro inko. So this is why we do it. This is not just a game of exercise, this is a game of strategy. You're playing with the minds of the enemies. Yes. Any doubts? अब तो ध्यान दोगे ही तुम लोग जब भी मिलिट्री एक्सरसाइज होगा. Well, in international relations, there are no permanent friends, there are no permanent enemies. What is permanent in international relations? I've told you multiple times. This is a quote given by Henry Kissinger, former Secretary of State of US. What is permanent in international relations? National interest. That is the only thing permanent. ना कोई तुम्हारा सगा है, ना कोई तुम्हारा दुश्मन है. Permanent. If you understand this, your training starts from here. हर चीज भूल जाना है in front of country. Your language, your state, your religion, nothing matters in front of your mother, right? And what is India? It is our motherland. Nothing is more important as compared to a country. All of you are trying to clear this exam to work for your country, right? In one way or the other way. So, whenever you are in service, any kind of service, your self-interest is here, public interest is here, but then national interest is here. The highest thing is national interest. TN session joined Congress, you know na? Chalo everyone, I have some people waiting for me. So I'll go attend to them. We'll meet again tomorrow. Okay? Any doubts? This is a big topic, BRICS pay. I'll start from here tomorrow. If I start from here, if I start this topic right now, it will take me 15-20 minutes. Then I have another class at 6. So everyone, have a good day.